Hi, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Come to you this Tuesday. It's Tag Tuesday, and so I wanted to do a tag for you. And this is a tag that's long overdue. Josh over at Literary Gladiators, he has this thing for making food tags, as many of you are aware. A lot of you have done these tags. But anyway, he's been doing these for a few years now, and he created the 25th foodie tag. And all of these tags are pretty creative. How he links food in with your reading. And so this 25th foodie tag is the pie book tag. And he tagged me on this. I'd been over the last couple months, I've been going through his tags, and I've been doing a few of them. I have several of them lined up to do that I just haven't filled in all the answers, and so I'm working on those. And so there'll be more food tags, more of his food tags in the coming weeks. But anyway, I wanted to do the pie tag today, and so I'll put the link to his video down in the description down below. But wanted to give just a shout out to Josh. He's very creative with these food tags. So, question number 1. Apple pie, a work that sings the praises of America. And for this, being a history teacher, I've got lots of books that are, just little factoids on America. And so I went to school and grabbed this book because it really does sing the praises of America. It's 1001 Reasons to Love America by Hubert Pedroli and Mary Tigran. And I like to use this book. I have it sitting on the shelf, and what I actually use it for is on the board I'll put 1001 Reasons to Love America, and I'll put one new one each day. But it's got beautiful photography, as you can see in that picture. But it does all kinds of different reasons to love, love America, land of the free. So the very first one that they chose was freedom. A beautiful shot of the Statue of Liberty there. And then, as you skip forward, it'll put important speeches in there as well. So there's a JFK speech. Here's one. The third reason, the right to vote. Fourth reason, freedom of speech, freedom to assemble, the freedom of religion. Number 7, strengthen our diversity. And so, anyway, I thought it was really cool. I like to put one of those on the board each day, and then it gives a little, a few sentences about what that means. And I think it's important that kids know that this is the greatest nation on earth. We have our issues, we have our problems. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not trying to, sweep things under the rug by any means, but I still feel we're the greatest nation on earth. I think we have a lot of good stuff going for us. So I always try to promote that in my classroom. All right, so number 2, cherry pie, a work that helped you develop a greater understanding of your country. And so for that, I chose 2 books by Gordon S. Wood. And I won't be able to show you all of these books because the girls are all asleep. The girls are all asleep upstairs, and so I couldn't grab all these books, so you have to forgive me on that. But anyway, I chose, for a work that helped you develop a greater understanding of your country, I chose 2 books by Gordon S. Wood. I chose The Idea of America, Reflections on the Birth of the United States, and I chose Radicalism of the American Revolution. And I chose these because Gordon S. Wood's just a great author, first of all. He's a little bit heady in his stuff. Some of his stuff is a pretty upper end stuff, and I don't know that it's for the average Joe on the street, but if you're a lover of American history, he does an awesome job of putting together how our country was founded and the ideals it was founded on. And so I thought that those 2 books were great books for understanding our country. So number 3, Blueberry Pie, a beach read you could probably finish on one visit. Now, the first time I read this, I did not finish it in one visit, but I did finish a big chunk of it. And I'm guessing that if I was sitting at the beach and I knew I had all day to read, I could probably put my nose to the grindstone and probably get it read in one sitting. or come really close anyway. And I chose Misery by Stephen King. And you might ask, why would I read that on a sitting on a warm beach? Well, here's why. I was thinking of that book because it's a winter setting. It's dreary. It's a great balancing of sitting on the beach in the sun, probably living it up if you're able to sit on the beach. So in the book, the writer, if you're familiar with the story, the writer, has a car wreck. He has one of his fans who takes him in to take care of him. She's a little bit psycho, and he definitely gets the blues in the whole storyline. And so Blueberry Blues, yeah, I'm playing on that. I know that's sad. But anyway, so I always thought it was, like I said, I thought it was nice to have a contrast of warm beach, great setting versus, I believe it was in Colorado is where that one was set, and it was cold and wintry, and just the setting is not a vacation, needless to say. But I think I could get that read in one sitting. Number 4, Pumpkin Pie. Favorite of a lot of the children of my household. A work that would make for a great November book club read. And I'll be honest, I didn't understand exactly, November book club, so what's the big deal there? And I guess it's a seasonal thing, or maybe even topical. And so I chose topical. And November is the month that Margaret Mitchell was born. And I know my daughter and I here in the future, I don't know if it's going to be as soon as I thought it was going to be, but we're looking to read the book Gone with the Wind. And so I thought Gone with the Wind for a November book club read, since it is her birthday, Margaret Mitchell's birthday. I thought that would be a good book club read. Number 5, Pecan Pie. A writer that does the best job writing about the American South. There's all kinds of writers about the American South, but I chose one that I had recent, I say recent contact, that's not the right word. I had recent dealings with. When I went for my book haul on Father's Day, I went to the store Books Revisited, and the guy that works there, I see him there a lot. I think it's a volunteer thing, and there's 2 or 3 of them that are always working there. And the one guy, we've gotten to know each other. I read a lot of history. I'll be sitting over there looking for books, and he'll come over. Hey, you're the history guy, aren't you? And so we've kind of gotten to know each other. And he had on their Facebook page, he puts books that have been coming in since they haven't had as much traffic because of quarantine stuff and all that. He's been putting books that have been coming in. And last week he said he had a big Civil War book haul. And so yesterday when I was at the Books Revisited, I'd asked him, so, are there any more of those books in, and what books were they, and that kind of stuff. And pretty much they were all gone, or most of them were gone anyway. And he said he had a whole bunch of biographies by Burke Davis. So he is my writer about the American South that I chose. Burke Davis, I say recently died. It's been a few years. He died in 2006, but he was a big historian of the South. He wrote biographies on Stonewall Jackson, on George Washington, Robert E. Lee, Jeb Stuart, Andrew Jackson. He wrote histories on Appomattox, Yorktown, Sherman's March. And so I chose him as my writer of the American South. So number 6, Sweet Potato, a work that responded to something. I chose a couple of books that I use for, these are professional books, but I chose them for from my teaching stuff. And in the last 3, 4, 5 years, the big push in Iowa and around the nation, I believe, is trying to teach kids to think for themselves. I mean, we've always done that, but we've come up with some, I say new ways, but really it's just recycling the old. But this new movement, the DBQ, document-based questions, and so we take documents and we study history through that. And so, and the kids get to choose how they're going to feel about a historical event based on the primary sources. So I chose a couple of books that I have read, or one that I use, and one that tells you how to do some of this stuff. One is Discovering the American Past: A Look at Evidence, Volume 2, since 1865. And so this is a collection of different areas in American history where they've taken, 15, 20 documents in some cases to study an event. And this is before DBQ was put together, but it's the same thing. Like I said, it's just recycling the old ideas. But they've got like Reconstructing Reconstruction. They've got Washington and Du Bois. They've got How They Lived, the Middle Class, Justifying American Imperialism, the Louisiana Purchase Exposition, 1904, Homogenizing Pluralistic Culture, Propaganda During World War I, and I use that one in my class. That's a really good one. Regulating Child Labor, Surviving the Great Depression. So anyway, they got one on the atomic bomb, and I used that one in my class. So they've got several different topics in here, and they give you a ton of evidence. And that was in response, I started using that a little bit more in response to that DBQ movement in the Iowa history teachers thing. And the other book I chose was Why Won't You Just Tell Us the Answer? Teaching Historical Thinking in Grades 7 through 12 by Bruce Lesh. And I got to listen to him speak live. He came to the Iowa, what do you call it? It's the Social Studies Conference, and we got to, a couple years back, go and listen to him at the conference and listen to other DBQ stuff at the conference, because that was the really big push that year. And so we got to listen to him. I bought his book, and it's got some really good stuff in it. So that was what I chose. All right, number 7, Key Lime Pie, a mystery that you would take to read on the beach. This is a book I have not read yet, but I want to read it, and I would take it to read on the beach. My wife has read it, and we've watched the movie that went with it, and it is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. My wife said it was good, and I just haven't read it yet. But that's the one I would grab. I was flipping through some different mysteries on Google, and I just started looking through mysteries and stuff, and I saw that, and I was like, oh yeah, that would fit this. Boston Cream Pie, number 8. A work you would be up to reading from a non-preferred genre. All right, something that I don't typically read. I don't read a lot of that mystery genre, again. Not that I have anything against it, I just don't read a lot of it. If you follow the channel, I read nonfiction, and so anyway, I am going to be hopefully up to reading Agatha Christie, and I don't know which one yet. I'm gonna look and find a Agatha Christie book, and I've never read her before, so I want to give that a try. I see lots of channels who talk about Agatha Christie and give her praise, so I want to try that. And I know my middle school kids read Agatha Christie for their mystery unit that they do, so I want to try that so I can kind of get in on the talk with my kids. Number 9, Macaroni Pie, a comfort read that can be enjoyed by all audiences. So I chose, and I've chose this for other tags, but I just enjoy the book, The Incredible Journey by Sheila Burnford. It's a loving story about 3 dogs, their friendship, and their loyalty to their owners, and it's a big adventure where the owners leave the house, and the dogs then go try to find their owners, and it's just a really good read. I'd recommend it for anybody. It's fairly short, it's, I don't know how many pages, but it's not very big. You could read it in one sitting. So number 10, Moon Pie, a work you could see yourself picking up at a shop with a drink. I chose for this, and this is a great big book, so maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe at a shop you want to read something quick or have short stories or something like that, but I chose a big, thick biography, being Ruttenberg Library being primarily nonfiction would make sense. I chose Edison by Edmund Morris. And the reason I chose this is my wife and I were at, I think it was Walmart, and she was doing her shopping. I always go to the book section and start browsing, and then I pick up something and I just start reading, and that usually takes up some time while she's doing her shopping. And Edison was one of the recent biographies that was out in the last few months, and I remember picking that up, and I read I think it was the prologue or the introduction. I read that, and then I got into the first chapter, and I actually did this on 2 separate occasions, and I had to go back and find my spot in the book, 2 separate Walmart trips. And so, a work you can see yourself picking up at a shop with a drink. Well, I think I could do that because I've done it. Well, I didn't have a drink at Walmart, but yeah, you get it. Number 11, Pizza Pie. A writer that does a great job with long and short works as well as thick and thin books. I chose a prolific writer, somebody who's written, I don't know how many books, it's a lot, but Stephen King. And I think Josh over at Literary Gladiators, I think this may have been his answer as well. I agree with him. I think he's prolific. He writes big, thick, 1,000-page books, but he also writes stories that are 150 pages or less. So I chose, for the long work, I chose The Stand. And it's a big, thick monster, but it is a great story. A story of good versus evil, and it's got a movie that goes with it. The story's much better than the movie, but anyway. And then the short work that I chose was his novella, Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. And many of you have seen the movie Shawshank Redemption, which was absolutely fabulous, and the book was just as good. Absolutely loved it. It's actually due for a reread from me. I just really liked that work. So number 12, Whipped Cream. A work that is overwhelmingly in your face with its message. And I think I've used this book before on one of the tags, but A People's History of the World by Chris Harman. The big message of the book is socialism and the battle of rich versus poor, and he just throws socialism in your face over and over and over, and the whole last half of the book is nothing but the socialism movement. And maybe I shouldn't get political. I'm just not, or economic, I guess. I shouldn't do that. I try not to do that on this channel, but I didn't care for the book. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. So number 13, American, a work that does a great job using allegory. And I had to look up allegory. I'm not very good with terms, and so using symbolism could be, in your story, it could be with allegory. And so I chose, or I think anyway, The Lord of the Flies by William Golding, and there is all kinds of symbolism in that story. The good versus evil, and I don't know. There's just a lot of it, and it's a great story, by the way. Short, you could read it in one sitting. Number 14, what is your favorite kind of pie? So, I like a lot of pie. I like cherry pie. I like pumpkin pie. I like peach pie. But my all-time favorite, and you can ask anybody in my house, pecan pie. Absolutely delicious. I get it almost every year for my birthday. I don't ask for cake. I ask for pecan pie. So absolutely love it. If you've never had it, I would definitely recommend it. Cherry pie would be number 2 on the list, but pecan pie is definitely on top. Number 15, Pie Day. Who do you tag? I am not real sure who all has done this. So I know a lot of people started doing it. So if you have not done this, if you're watching this video and you have not done it, consider yourself tagged. And I know that's bad of me, but that's what happens when you wait 2 weeks. This one bounced around a little bit, and I've seen lots of people doing it. So feel free to do it. And it was a fun one, BookTube. So I recommend you trying it. Try your slice of pie. So I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day, BookTube.